Evening. I've just been watching Aitheismismadness. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, we know who you are. And there's the rock that Mark and I sort of shared because of the finds that went up with the stone in it that looked like a hole. Well, our Moana, where I went for my holidays, had a rock with a hole in it, and this Mark shared some rocks around California that have got holes in them. So there we go. This is always a sign, but this is what the sign was for me. Now Amy is a sign, my daughter. When she was 5 and started at the Christian school, I got a phone call from the teacher at the end of her first year, towards the end of the year, and she said, "Do you know what your daughter's done?" And I said, "No." She got up and she put herself in the talent quest, and she sung "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." And everyone, she said she cried. She said a good percentage of people cried when she sang it. Why would they cry? And they said that they were so touched by her voice, that there was something about her voice, that they're going to put her in the finals, with, older children from other schools. And she didn't. Does a normal 5-year-old do that? Don't they come home and tell their parents and practice something? Or, she just did it. And it was nice going to watch her compete. And I think she came 5th. Really good. And gave her singing lessons. Tried to get her on the piano, but I just didn't have a lot of money. I didn't. And my mother helped pay for her school fees. My husband, had a policy that he didn't pay for anything with the kids. He just looked after himself, basically, and I had family support, extra payments to do that. Because he was a student, we were quite poor as a married couple. It was fine. But I used every cent I could to give her singing lessons once a week, and she went to probably at least 3 of those talent quests in malls. And I remember when we separated, I had a wee dress made for her. I bought the fabric for one of her performances, and that was, believe it or not, my husband didn't want me to spend that money on her when we were married, and then it went into an affidavit that I was like one of those American talent quest women, that push their children. Oh Lord, there was just, everything was flipped on me. That's what happens when you're being hunted. But what happened in the year that we separated, and Amy had already she was in the Catholic cathedral choir and played in the big Catholic basilica. So that gave her a little bit more training, and it didn't cost anything. But I'd heard of the Canterbury Opera Chorus, and they had a scholarship for children if you got in past a panel, and it was for the ages of 8 to 17. you would work with the Operatic Society, and they would train you to read music and sing opera. And I knew it was a good thing. I knew that many, like Pat Benatar was opera trained, and I just felt that that was her calling. Anyway, I didn't get to watch her audition, but she got in. And I was so excited when I got the letter. I ran to school and showed her in the playground, and she was really, really excited. It wasn't me, it was something she really wanted to do. You're in, you're in. And the following, it was actually, must have been the year, yeah, it was, oh, look. So, because we had week on, week off, I could take her to her lessons. But when my husband didn't bring the children home, he had full-time care of them. And it was too much hassle for him to take her. And on the contract, if you don't attend a lesson, I think it's 2 strikes and you're out. That's how much of a privilege it was. And that's probably, it sounds terrible, but the biggest thing I have, that the hardest thing to forgive him for, really. Because like, even I just tried to, before courts, any court cases, I just tried to get the counsel for child to assist, to ensure that he would take her. And he didn't want to know anything about it, because he just believed the lies, that it was something I wanted and not Amy. But the testimony is that she sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I will tell you that, like I told her, she was slain in the spirit, and I have a photo of her standing with Sasha after that happened, and you should see her eyes, they're like so dreamy. She came to me with another dream. It's 2 dreams she's had, a 12-year-old dreams, but she had this dream when she was about 7 or 8, and it was of heaven. It was like a vision. I said, "Oh, tell me, dear," because it's something I haven't really had. And she just said that she was on grass, and there were mountains all around you, and the colours, she said, she was so young, she said the colours were like plasticine, Mum. They were really bright. And I looked at the ground, and I was walking in bare feet, and as I stood on the grass, it was like it was alive, and there were flowers growing in the grass. And when I stood on the flowers, they didn't crush, like they went down under my feet, Mum, but then they just bounced up like they were alive. And that's what she saw, and she saw heaven, and that's my girl. Now, when she was 21, she was approaching me with the odd bit of information. There are 2 things that are notable. One was this, and I've uploaded this information a couple of years ago, what atheism is madness, but it's like the Lord's just fallen on me and showed me that that's why she sung Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and that the Lord had done something to her and done something to everyone who watched her perform to melt everybody's heart. And it's not just a mother speaking. And when I talked about the artist, the young girl who just had this miraculous ability it was from God, and that saw Jesus and painted him. Well, I looked at her work, and they were inspired by the Lord, and there's a painting that is of heaven, of things she's seen, and she saw a tree just like that tree of life, the oak tree, the exotic oak tree, and she saw it and painted as she saw as a child, and it was so realistic, but it was in the air, and its roots were hanging, and it was just like the tree I saw. Now, as she grew, that lifted what she had. I've been back to her channel, and I can't see anything happening in God for her. But another thing that she showed me that pointed to Amy was she did an identical picture of Amy. It's like a Mary picture. It's a girl, and she's holding her hands the way Amy would. And she's wearing a dark blue dress over her head. Now, the year that, because my husband asked me to move out Joseph the day after I graduated. Well, I didn't graduate. What I'd done is I'd finished all my classwork and handed it in. And I've testified about this, and I don't care if you believe it. My son knows it happened. He had friends who owned a fish and chip shop, and we went to this fish and chip shop after I'd handed my work in. He turned up for the kids, and we got fish and chips there. But when we were standing there waiting, gold coins were falling from the roof. And that's the tribute coin. It must be. I've just realised. That's the tribute coin. They were $1 and $2 coins. That's what we have in New Zealand, but that's the tribute coin. They were falling from the roof onto the ground. I picked it up. There was a man there at the time. I said, "Is this yours?" He said, "No." And then another one fell, and another one. And I was talking to the lady, my son's parent, of his friend. And I said, "Look, these coins are falling." And I looked up, and there was some pipe work in the fish and chip shop. But like my husband saw it, and my kids were seeing it and picking it up. And some of them were landing on the counter. And we gave all the money to her, and we left, and we went and ate fish and chips, but we could never explain it. We can't explain it to this day. And my husband saw it, and my son remembers it. He believes it. I mean, he was 6 or 7. He remembers it. It was the next morning after that I went out to the garage, and my husband looked down, and I said, "What's up?" He said, I feel like he just said, "I feel, I don't know, lost or something." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, I just want to separate. I want to have a separation. I feel like I'm, going to have a breakdown or something. I don't know what he was saying, but it's like he was saying he was going through some sort of, well, he said it was a midlife crisis. Well, I know now he was having an affair, but he also was in trouble with his scholarship, and he had no money to carry on that next year. And as it was, I got a teaching job, and he went and got the benefit as a single dad, because he qualified because he had the children half the time. And it didn't worry me until I had the dream, and I knew, or the vision, and I knew that he was going to take the kids. And I resigned from my job. Then it was a real problem, because I had no money to live on, because he had the benefit, not me. But I had to keep a big house still to look after them on my week. But when he took the children, it was just devastating that he stopped taking Amy, because it was too much hassle. So that is her singing career down the tube. But so when she's in her 20s, she came with me with Trufa stuff, and two notable things were, oh yeah, I need to talk about the Mary picture. So the Christmas that we separated, I told you that it was about the 24th, very end of the year, just before Christmas. So we basically spent Christmas together, and then he took me out to look for somewhere to live because he asked me to leave. And I rented a place. And I was out by New Year's Eve. I wasn't sad. I just thought he needs space. I just trusted the Lord. I wasn't going to beg or try and change anything. And he'd said it. We wanted a break, for 6 months. So I was really busy with a new job and had the kids. In the end, I only got the kids in the weekend because I was busy all week, and that didn't look good on the affidavit either. It was just everything played into his hands. He said he was a primary caregiver. I know I had the career. Yet he had been, he was a full-time student, and I basically managed to be an at-home mum. But I did train as a teacher in the last couple of years when the kids were young. Now, we were at the Elan Church, and I've told you about Clinton and how I asked him to do an affidavit. But you can't use the affidavit if they don't show up at court. So I had nothing to say that I wasn't in a cult, nothing at all. But this before this happened, and they had a Christmas play, and they needed the children involved, and they needed a Mary, and they chose Amy because they knew her from children's church to be Mary, and she sung on her own. It was a very big church, and Simon Barnett is the man who was at the church. He's quite a famous TV and radio host, does Dancing with the Stars and all that. And he was singing with her. Now, she looked like that Mary. When she played Mary, she wore that blue dress. So when I looked at that wee girl's art and I saw the tree and then I saw the Mary, it really did touch my heart. There's no accidents or mistakes. That when Amy brought me information on YouTube, it was only 2 things ever. The 2 things were this here. I suppose everyone's seen it. I'm just going to link this. It's beautiful. Because I know the stars are changing. I see them change from red to green to yellow. I do. And the orbs, these are the orbs that come down. And I don't believe they're my angels, because if they were my angels, I wouldn't be up on a mountain. I'd be greeting them, wouldn't I? I wouldn't have been away looking at them. I wasn't afraid, but that's what happens when they come. So he shows clips of the orbs. There's a lot of loud music in it. But when I'm finished, please watch it. And just know this is the truth. Because Amy showed me already. I didn't see it when she showed me, but I've seen it since the Lord woke me up and I've been on the mountain. It's this one.
Drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria, for the Jew.
Talks about the woman at the well.
If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter.
Cymatic frequencies. then this is what we see now. We know who the stars are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. This is the truth.
When the blazing sun's gone, when there's nothing it shines upon, then show your little light.
I can't do justice to it.
In the dark blue sky, you and me, and for a curtain, you often plead. Find that way, shut your eyes, till there's something in the sky. That a traveler in the dark, that's your falling time is far.
And after the coins fell, and we went to see those people in their home, and they said that in the morning when they came back to work, there was more on the floor. Coins. Just common coins. Like they had in the day of Jesus. And then later on in the week, you know, my husband and I slept together in between when we separated. Then we moved out, it was over. Later on in the week, he'd taken the kids to the beach, and he came running in, and the kids were all excited, and they were saying, "Mommy, Mommy, we got bread from the sky," and this is what happened. They said they were at the beach, and bread rolls fell from the sky. And I said, "Show me," and Joseph said the kids ate them. But he said they were just normal bread rolls, like you would get at Countdown. But there was no seagulls. He said there was no birds, and I know what the beach at Sumner Beach. There's a big cliff, and bread fell from the sky. And they're both miracles. And that's my testimony. Now, I'm going to try and find the Mary picture, but I'll try. I don't watch UFO things, but I know that there's common occurrences, and the last one that KJ put up, he showed these orbs in a circle, a ring, very low to the ground, and that's what I saw. So now Atheism is Madness is going to show some clips like that, okay? The aliens. The records in the vault. Okay, so it's interesting, but what I want to just show you these clips of people seeing these orbs. Well, that's the stars. Where are the orbs? Must be here. Now, I'm obviously gone. Something's happened to me. How can I fly and be? How can I be up on a mountain when they arrive? When they arrive here? So this is footage. It's just, I don't know why he uses a screen like this. It's dreadful. But watch them move. They never stay still. I watch them move all the time. So the other thing she left me, when she got, in 2017 when she came back from Bali, she sent me a link and I watched it, and it was about the belief that there was a race of lizards that created this world. They were our creators. But something had gone, the story they're telling is something went terribly wrong. It was an experiment and they're here and now. They're going to come back to help. So, yeah. Sort of stuff you'd see on Gaia, I suppose. But I watched on YouTube and they showed these pictures of these lizards, and I called Marty over and we scoffed and laughed. And I never scoffed and laughed at Amy. She said thank you. But I know it's true. And yeah, it's part of the story, I suppose, whatever they've got in store. It's a serpent race. I mean, they look pretty, these stars, but they're going to take a form that's different, just like that man who channeled that channeling. So, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. It's all in my testimony, and I only just realised why the coins fell. And the bread, and I wasn't a witness to it, but I was a witness to the response the family had. So I believed it, but I haven't walked around in the knowledge of it like I am right now, because of tribute. And because I know that the Lord, He has my daughter. And He took her to heaven. He showed her heaven. And I will just share that I was on a hill with Jesus, the baby, and the Father was God. And I had my Amy in my arms. She was a wee bit older. It's like I'd been there before, and there was a lake at the bottom. It was like the Halswell Lakes, where Halswell Lakes used to be the shingle pits. It's behind our house. Used to have to go for a pea paddock, and the pea paddock was where those power lines were. It was like Halswell Lakes, but it's a place where children drown. That's why Mum stopped me from going there, because a wee one drowned there. And, it was back before anyone fenced anything off. And the Lord had put hoardings, the Father had put hoardings around the lake, like fenced it off. And my wee Amy, it's like she was all wiggly and restless, and she got out of my hands and was running on the grass. And the Father was just so relaxed holding the Lord. He was smaller. And I was running after her, and she got under the hoardings because they were like above the ground. She just crawled under them into the water, and I assumed she went into the water. And I knew that the hoardings had been nailed in. You get quite big nails, they ply, and you nail it in. It's health and safety. It keeps you out of it, protects an area from people going in. But I just still tried to grab the board. And the Lord, He hadn't nailed this piece in, and I thought He had. So in my arms, remember how Christopher carried the ply up? Well, this is my daughter drowning, and I was carrying that ply, don't you worry. It was a real dream, and I grabbed both sides of it, and I whacked it off, and I threw it behind me like Samson. And I dove into this lake without even thinking. And I was all sort of crouched up with my knees, and my arms were waving around, and I was opening my eyes